Alright, testing, great. Okay, now part 2 of chapter 15 and chapter 16 video. Alright, now this part we are going to focus on the calculation of GDP. Okay, but we only focus on the calculation. Now, how do we do the calculation? In fact, there are going to be 3 different approaches. Okay, now we need to look no further than a very familiar concept we call the circular flow. Now remember, in the circular flow, we have firm, then we also have household. Firm for production, household for purchasing the production. Okay, so remember, first we have firm giving goods and services to the households. In return, household would give expenditure back to the firm and becomes their profit. Okay, now on the other hand, how do firm make production? Now remember, they need people, they need labor, etc. Okay, therefore they also ask for the service. Okay, they ask for the service of household. We call it factor service. In return, they need to give them back something we call factor income. Now remember this, right? Now here you see we have 4 arrows. In fact, we already have 3 different approaches here. Now, first approach we have here, expenditure. We are going to look at the expenditure to see how much households and different parties are spending. This is what we call expenditure approach, which you should know by now is CIGNX. 應該知㗎啦，而家係咪？ Now, second approach, very abstract. They're going to look at here, goods and services. We call this value-added approach. Rather abstract. Okay. Now, finally, we also look at factor income. This one, factor income. 係咪？第三個 Then we have an income approach, which the calculation is out of syllabus already. Okay, you just need to know income can be used, but the detailed calculation, forget about it. Okay, it is not in the syllabus. Now, before we move on to talk about expenditure approach, also we need to when we look at this flow chart, okay, this circular flow, you will remember there are 2 markets. Okay, those in blue are what we call the product market, while those in red are what we call the factor market. Obviously, there are 2 different markets, and you can expect the 2 different markets are not going to have the same prices, or else if they have the same price, let's imagine McDonald's, okay, their cost is $5, factor market $5. When they sell the product, would they sell at $5? No, they need to make a profit, right? Now, therefore, we will know market price is actually derived from factor cost first, obviously, right? Then we need to add indirect tax. Now, this is very simple because remember, indirect tax makes market price higher. 係咪啊？收咗稅咪令到佢貴咗咯，係咪啊？嗱。Minus subsidy 點解要減啊？ Because subsidy would make market price decreases. Remember, This from chapter 11, we have talked about it, right? So this guy, they will keep asking this relationship. Okay, ma? Now, in fact, before we look at the expenditure approach, it will be a good idea to immediately look at one question regarding the concept we just have now, right? Market price, factor cost. Now here, 2016, a very important question again. 一條又係非常之重要嘅題目啦。Now here, let's see. I feel very ill, right? No. Look at the question first. The question asks, when a public clinic provides medical service for one patient, the resulting GDP would rise by $45. Okay, now since it says public clinic is only $45， 咁問啦，既然公立醫院收45蚊，咁係咪睇多個病就係令 GDP 升45蚊呢？ Okay, now remember the answer is no. But why? In fact, there is a very important sentence here. Much lower than private doctors. So what is going on here? Private doctors, they are definitely using market price. 私家㗎嘛，私家梗係睇市場做嘢㗎啦，係咪啊？ Market price. Now, unfortunately, public one is much lower than market price. Remember, public, they do not follow the so-called normal market price. In fact, they don't follow anything except the government's directive. 政府話幾多就幾多，通常都唔會跟市價嘅。Okay, now why it is much lower? Okay, now remember, because public services are usually subsidized. 因為有津貼啊嘛。Therefore, their GDP, okay, their GDP, which when we count factor costs, should be higher than $45. 即係其實係唔止45蚊㗎，因為津貼咗，所以你見到好似45蚊咋。Okay, because it is being subsidized, it should be much higher than $45. The rest of the money only the government has covered for you. Okay, 得唔得啊？咁嘅意思啦。Okay, so besides medical services, public medical services, I also can think of one more example. Okay, now think of it as the university. You know, those we call UGC funded program. Each year you're paying this amount. But remember, the real GDP should be much higher than this 42K. Again, because this tuition fee is being subsidized, okay? Therefore, the factor cost should be much higher than this amount. Okay, that's how we interpret market price and factor cost. 得唔得？ Right, now, let's move back to talk about our expenditure approach. Okay, now this, let us not spend too much time. GDP, CIGNX, 係咪啊？ Now here, household, firm, government, and this is an adjustment. Okay, now let's look at them one by one. When we talk about C, private consumption expenditure, we are talking about finished goods. Okay, spending on finished goods. We do not count as semi-finished goods. As to why, we are going to look at that when we go to production approach. Or value-added approach. We're going to look at that. Okay. Now, I is a more problematic one. 比較麻煩嘅係 I 啦。Spending on real investment as opposed to financial investment. So what exactly is real investment? Okay, now let's see. For example, I spend some money to build a factory, building, premises. Or I spend some money to make, let's say, inventory. 係咪啊？整貨啊，真係。Okay, these all involves production, changing something from input into an output, inventory, building, etc. Okay, now this is what we call is some real investment, not financial investment. Okay, now here you see a formula. Real this I, okay. I equals to net domestic fixed capital formation， 即係呢個講啦 ，building right plus depreciation。OK 嗱 ，because remember gross equals to net plus depreciation。OK 嗱 ，this is an accounting concept。So let's just take it here。OK 嗱，我哋講完算啦，好嘛？嗱，唔好理點解 ，this is an accounting relationship。OK。Finally, we also look at the change in inventory because, as we know, inventory is also a real investment, a real production, right? 係嘛？所以條式啦 ，net domestic fixed capital formation plus depreciation plus change in inventory. OK， 得唔得？ Now, next one. Government consumption expenditure. Now, I need to remind you, it is called government consumption expenditure, not government expenditure. Okay, now why we do not call it government expenditure? Immediately you remember transfer payment, for example, CSSA is also a government expenditure. 政府俾錢㗎嘛 but it is not a government consumption expenditure. Transfer payment does not involve any production. Here, no, this guy, remember, this guy, no production. Therefore, not G. Only government expenditure, but not government consumption expenditure. Now, government purchase of goods and services, for example, public services. Now, namely, the wages of civil servants, for example. Wages of civil servants. Let's just say that, for example, or we mentioned right the public clinic. Now here, some values, mainly the government, are measured at factor cost because, like our previous example, there is no normal market price to speak of, right? 嗰40蚊都唔係正常市價嚟嘅 ，so we measure at factor cost， 得唔得？ Now finally, we have net export. Now, how come we need to adjust for net export? Because now here net export equals to export minus import. Now because export, think about it. Export, it is a spending, but not by our household. 係嘛？ Therefore, but here you see this is still an RPU local production. 係本地 RPU 做嘅嘢，呢個係咪啊？本地 RPU 做嘅，但係未計落去。Therefore, we need to plus. Okay, we add in export. Import, just the opposite. Okay, how come we deduct it? It is a spending. But the thing is, this is not an RPU, local production. It is made in other places. Now, therefore, we have overestimated the spending. 係嘛? The spending is not on RPU. We have overestimated. We need to minus that. Okay? 所以點解加 export 減 import 啦。Okay, now here export we can have total export of goods, total export of service. Okay, now sorry, this is not total. This is domestic. I mess up. Domestic export of goods, total export of service plus re-export of goods. Okay, now these two, this guy and this guy, adding together, we call it total export. So sorry, huh? We call it total export of goods, Import, my total import of goods and service. Okay, so that is CIGNX. Okay, now this is all theory, right? Now it doesn't make sense if we only look at theory. It makes more sense when we go really into the examples, 係咪啊？睇啲真實嘅例子會容易啲啦。Now here you are given a table GNP at market price, okay, and then a string of figures. Now they ask you to figure out GDP at factor cost. Now you immediately see there are two different things. First, GNP versus GDP. Second, market price versus factor cost. So let's do the conversion first. 好嘛，我哋一齊做咗conversion 先啦。First, GNP equals to GDP plus NFI. Okay, in our case here, GNP 100, GDP we do not know. NFI here, NFI -5. Therefore, GDP would be 105. Now, but remember, we are talking about GDP at market price. This is a market price. So, the second thing we do, we need to change market price into factor cost. Remember, market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. Okay, now let's see. Market price 105 equals to factor cost, indirect tax $25 plus 25, 係嘛？ minus subsidy 35. Factor cost equals to 115. In this case, equals to 115. Alright, so that would be our answer. Now, so you see, how come I'm doing this so quickly? Because I'm so familiar with the relationship. 係咪？因為我已經太熟啲 relationship 啦。Now, you see, that's why you need to know two relationships. First, GNP equals to GDP plus NFI. Second relationship, back in here, we talk about market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. Okay, you need to be familiar with these two relationships. Okay, 得唔得？ Now, next one, NNP at factor cost. This one, forget about it. It's out of syllabus now. Okay, 好啦。Now, practice paper. Given you a table like this, asking you to figure out GDP at factor cost. So let's break them down. Okay, 嗱，第一個啦 private consumption expenditure. This is our C. C, of course, part of GDP, right? Government consumption expenditure, G, also part of our GDP. Net domestic fixed capital formation, part of I. Yes. Decrease in stock, in inventory, part of I. Now this one we minus because it is a decrease, right? Now subsidy, let's ignore it for now. Subsidy, okay? Now this one, it means depreciation. Depreciation, part of I. And remember, we just say this is a net, but we are talking about GDP. Therefore, we add back depreciation into it to become gross. Net export, NX. Net factor income from abroad. Now, this is talking about GNI, if you remember. We are not talking about GNI, okay? And direct tax. Now, here, let's figure out GDP at market price first. Now remember, CIGNX, this is at market price. 我哋計咗先好嘛 ？CIGNX will be C. I would be here. 300 plus 50 depreciation minus 70. Okay, plus G would be 250 plus NX would be 300, and that would be 400 plus 280 plus 250， 即係幾多啊？應該係700加530 1230。咦？點解唔啱嘅？1230都冇1230。Remember, this is market price。未計完係咪？我都未計完。Okay, now the relationship. Remember, market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy, right? 係咪？ Therefore, we have 1230 equals to FC plus indirect tax. Let's look at here. Subsidy, direct tax. Direct tax 計唔計啊？ No, we are not going to count direct tax. So plus 0 minus subsidy 120. Therefore, we know the factor cost would then be 1350. 1350啦，得唔得？ Okay, so this is how we do the calculation. Now you see, we are getting more and more mechanical. 越嚟越 mechanical 啦，係咪啊？ Now here, it is given GDP at factor cost is this number. Okay, the value of x. Now we need to figure out the value of x. Okay, now first of all, now this time, since we know CIG here, GDP equals to CIGNX. We know this is market price, right? So let's convert this number back to market price first. 我哋啊，先將佢變成 market price 望一望先，好嘛？ Now here, market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. 係咪啊？ Now, market price we don't know. MP equals to 264. 望一望先。Indirect tax 60. Okay, we use it already. 鏟咗啦，我哋 plus 60. Subsidy minus 30 用咗啦，查咗佢啦，好冇 ？Market price will be 294. 係嘛 ？Therefore, we know this is 294. Then let us identify CIGNX here. 好嘛？嗱 ，here C part of I 係嘛 ？Net domestic fixed part of I. Increase in inventory part of I. Government consumption expenditure G. Net export. Depreciation 嗱望望 again, we know this is part of I, right? We know depreciation is part of I. Now, but the main point is we are talking about net. Therefore, we need to add back our depreciation into net to become gross, right? 係嘛 Finally, net factor income from abroad. I think you already know this is a GNI item. None of our business. 係嘛 None of our business. So, let's construct it. C, 200. I would be 40 plus 40 plus X. G would be 24. And NX would be 10. So 294 equals to 294 plus 24 plus X. Yeah, 我係咪計錯數啊? Let's see. I think I messed up something. Right? No, this is 290. Okay. So you will see X would be negative 20. Yes, negative 20. B is the answer that we want. Okay? 得唔得? So you see, very mechanical, right? Very mechanical. So let's move on to the next one. One more, and then we are done with expenditure approach. Now, given this table, okay, given this table already give you GDP at market price, 係咪啊？俾咗 GDP at market price 嚟啦。Now, we need to figure out government consumption expenditure. Okay, now, as usual, GDP equals to CIGNX. 唔使諗嘅 already given. Okay, GDP 200. Okay, now this one. Then this is C part of GDP. I, gross domestic fixed capital formation. Change in inventory, also part of I. Now this time, be careful. Total export of goods. This is NX. Okay, export plus, right? But then we have domestic export of goods. This is also NX. But we are not counting this number because domestic total already included domestic export of goods. 包咗㗎啦 ，don't double count. Okay, 所以唔好 double count 佢啦。Okay, and export of service, NX. Goods, services. Yes. Then import of goods, import of service. Okay, we are minus. Net factor income from abroad. This is a GNI item. None of our business, right? And we are at market price already. None of indirect tax and subsidy, none of that business because we are at market price. Now, finally, depreciation. Now you know, depreciation is part of I, but the problem is we are already gross domestic. Therefore, we do not need to adjust for depreciation. Already adjusted inside. 得唔得啊？已經計咗啦，得唔得啊？即係咩意思啊？其實呢條啊 ，the net is only $5， 係嘛？因為40減35啊嘛 ，net is only $5 here. So let's put it here. 120. I would be let me find 40 plus 10. Okay, then G, NX would be 80 plus 20 minus 60 minus 30. So 200 equals to 120 plus 50 plus 10 plus G. 係咪啊？呢度已經加埋幾多啊？100。I think G is 20. Okay, G would be 20 in our case. Okay, now so you see, when we talk about expenditure approach, very mechanical， 做嚟做去三幅皮嘅啫，冇咩特別㗎，係咪啊？你見做嚟做去都係咁嘅咋。Alright, so this is expenditure approach. Now let us move on to another approach. We call it value added approach or production approach. Now this approach, we are only counting the value added of all our PUs 係嘛？我哋淨係計佢嘅 value added 啫。Okay, now remember only value added, not the final value. Okay, now so what exactly is a value added? Now look at firm A. Now assume it starts from 0. Firm A, you see, their input is 0. Output, 2 output, 10.45. 係咪出產咗？其實係賣咗10蚊同賣咗45蚊啊 ？10.45, 55. Now therefore we know the value added would be $55 for firm A. Now what about firm B? Firm B would be input 10, output 40. Therefore, firm B would be 40 minus 10. They are 30. Okay, now value added of foreign firm. Okay, now input 40, output 45. Okay, $5. Now household, by definition, they do not add value, right? By definition, They do not 係咪？記住啦，唔係嘅。Now, funny enough, when we do our approach, okay, our value-added approach, we do something like this. Now look at here. We only count the value added of RPUs only. Okay, now so here, this is RPU, this is RPU, this is not RPU, foreign firm. Okay, so we are not counting the $5. Okay, so value added approach, it should be 55 plus 30 equals to $85. In our case, the value added is $85. Okay, now so this is value added approach. Now in fact, we can also do expenditure approach. Okay, and we should get the same answer. So let's do it. Remember, GDP equals to CIGNX. Now the C here, this is our C. 呢個 household 俾嘅錢啊嘛 ，45 C. Now no I, no G. Okay. Now remember, only final product counts. So this does not count. And this guy, think about it. This is local to foreign. We call this export. 呢個咪 export 咯，係嘛？ Now, but this $45, foreign to local. Foreign to local 即係咩嚟㗎？你見唔見到啊 ？Foreign to local, this is import 係嘛？ Now this is M. Now therefore, when we calculate, it would be 45 plus 45 and plus 0, and X, we have 40 minus import 45. And that would also get us 85. See, they should be the same. 應該一樣㗎，唔一樣你就有啲嘢計錯啦。Okay, so the moral of the lesson, you will see that in order to calculate GDP, if you're given a table like this, in fact, you can most of the time you can try doing expenditure approach, which we are going to look at the questions now. All right, moving on. Now you see, all the examples from the past papers are very familiar, okay? Always giving you a flow chart from something to something, from something else to something else. Okay, here it shows you a production chain of computer, okay? Computer. Now, we need to figure out what is the contribution of the above production chain to GDP at factor cost, okay? Now here, let's do it. Now first, local computer manufacturer, you will see, would be 10K minus 5K. Therefore, they will have 5K. Contribution, and then next 3K contribution. So you see, adding together, we will have 8K. But is it really the case? Now think about it. We are talking about GDP at factor cost. Now remember, we say market price equals to factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. You 加返 indirect tax 減 subsidy. Here, you already included 已經加咗2000蚊啊。Therefore, to calculate factor cost, you should minus indirect tax. 係咪應該要扣返啲 indirect tax 啊？ Now, therefore, in fact, we need to minus 2K to get the answer of A. Okay, 得唔得？ Now, using expenditure approach also okay. Now, expenditure approach, this would be C and this would be M. Other things irrelevant. Okay, so we will also have this 13K minus 5K, and that would give us 8K, and the same minus 2K to get factor cost. Okay, 一樣嘅方法。Now next, Now this time, let's do it the other way round. We do expenditure approach first. 好嘛？我哋睇 expenditure approach 先。Now here, local. Remember, middle part irrelevant because we are only counting final product. Here, we have C. Local to foreign, we have X. Then we have M here. 係嘛？ Now, therefore, you know, GDP would be this plus minus this guy. Then you should have, I think would be 21K, right? 係嘛？ 21K. Now, unfortunately, you see, 21K, none of the answer. Now, why? Because the government trading company here received 1,000 subsidy, 係咪啊？ Subsidy, right? Now, therefore, in order to calculate factor cost, we need to add 1,000, right? Will be 22K. B. Now, let's double check using value added. Okay, now value added here for local government manufacturer, it would be 10 plus 8 minus 6, and that will give us 12K. Here, 4K, and here, 5K. Let's see, 12 plus 4 plus 5, we get 21K. So the same treatment plus 1K will be 22K. The same, right? 你見唔見啊？完全一樣㗎，冇分別㗎。Now, let's do it one more time. All right? Now, the following show a production chain. Again, GDP at market price. Now, this time at market price. Again, let's do our so-called let's do expenditure approach first. Here, middle part, irrelevant. Consumer, this is our C. Raw materials from Australia, from Thailand, this will be M. Sorry, import. Okay, import. Export to China, export. So let's see. Using expenditure approach, we will see we have this 400 plus 200 minus 80 minus 70, and that would give us how much? Let's see. Yes, 450. Okay, now this time it is a market price and inclusive of a tax. Therefore, no need to touch it since this is a market price. Okay. Now let's double check. Factory in economy X. Now, what is the value added here? Okay, would be this two, 380 minus this here, 150, 230. Okay, now here, this guy, 250 minus 180 would be 70, and this guy, 150. So using using value added approach, we'll have 230 plus 70 plus 150 also equals to 450. You see, we get it right. Now, finally, 2017. Now, this time, be very careful. It asks the contribution of local watch manufacturer. Only asking this guy. 知唔知條上陰你啲咩啊？ Because you guys, you know the expenditure approach so well, you will be tempted to only look at this as a C, this as an export, and this as an import. Very tempting to do so, right? But remember, this time you cannot do it. You cannot, because we are only looking at local watch manufacturer. You have no choice but to actually look at the value added. Would be this plus this minus this and minus this. So you don't have a choice here. Would be 220. 得唔得？嗱，呢個小心啲啊！ It only asks for local watch manufacturer, not the whole story, not the whole transaction. OK， 小心啲啦，淨係問一個就只可以用 value added approach 啦。OK， so that would be value added approach. No, we have one more to do. Short question, and then I will end the video here, and we will have a part 3 of the video. All right, now here it shows a chain. Now this is an import of raw material, or not RAM, raw material. Now this is import. Okay, now here we need to do 2 things. First, now let's do value added approach first. 好嘛，我哋先計 value added approach at market price. Now here you see at 5K inclusive. Now market price, no need to touch this 5K. Okay, now value added approach, we'll do this. Okay, by value added approach would be GDP equals to first this guy. Now remember, format matters. 你刻意話聽你用緊 value added approach. So don't just write. No, this is not good enough. Deliberately 特登寫出嚟 65K minus 30K. This guy plus here local wholesale 60K plus 50K minus 65K. 刻意寫出嚟得唔得？ Then this is 35K plus this will be 55K. We will have 90K. This is a market price, right? So, A, GDP at factor cost using expenditure approach. Now again, format matters. Okay, GDP equals to CIGNX. Then identify. This is our C. This, no, let's use red. Okay, now this is our C. To foreign, local to foreign, this is our X. This is M, right? Equals to this guy, 50K plus 0 plus 0 plus 60K minus 30K. You also should get, wait, 我係咪計錯？之前計錯啲嘢啊？ Let's see, okay? Now this is 50K, 6K plus 3. 咦係咪計錯啲嘢啊？ I think last question I messed up something. Did I? I think I messed up. Oh yes, sorry, I know. This is 45K. Therefore, it should be 80K only. Okay, this is 45. I'm so sorry. All right, now, therefore, the answer you get would be 80K. But this is only at market price. Then we also need to write GDP at market price equals to GDP at factor cost plus indirect tax minus subsidy. Now, therefore, we need factor cost, right? 係咪？ Equals to 80K. We have indirect tax, right? 係咪？ We have indirect tax. 今次我哋有 indirect tax 啊 we need to minus 5K. Will be 75K. Right? 係咪啊？我哋會有 75K 啦。Right, now let me double check first. Okay, let me check again to make sure it's right. Yes, it should be correct. Now finally, income approach and income and profit also used to assess GDP. But remember, calculation is out of syllabus. For our purpose, you only need to remember salary and income are counted in GDP, and that would be good enough. And that will be part 2 of our GDP as a video series. Okay, so for the next video, we are going to wrap this up by talking about different concepts like real GDP, GDP deflator, and some limitations and when to use GDP. All right, so until then, I see you again in next video.